Trippy underwater scenes, video game comparisons, and movie theater walkouts. Avatar 2 gave some viewers a headache for a very specific reason. Following James Cameron's groundbreaking 2009 film, Avatar: The Way of Water faced high expectations from the start. The sequel needed to continue to build the grand world of Pandora, created by Cameron in the first Avatar. But it also had to up the ante when it came to visual effects. The first film was already considered a major game-changer, but a lot of time has passed since it was released. As a result, viewers expected Cameron to use the latest technology to break new ground yet again. Now, 13 years and hundreds of millions of dollars later, the long-awaited sequel has finally been released, and what a sight it is. While the majority of critics don't consider the film's narrative to be anything spectacular, the eye-popping visual effects throughout Avatar: The Way of Water have been the subject of widespread acclaim. In fact, one Variety film critic even wrote, "Cameron has raised not only the stakes of his effects artistry, but the choreographic flow of his staging, to the point of making The Way of Water, like Avatar, into the apotheosis of a must-see movie."
This family is our fortress.
The sequel has received much acclaim for its sweeping vistas and dazzling textures, but one aspect of the film's visuals has received a mixed reaction, and that's the frame rate. Needless to say, James Cameron's latest experiment with technology has yielded some pretty passionate fan responses. For Avatar: The Way of Water, Cameron chose to change frame rates throughout the film, moving between the traditional 24 and the faster 48 frames per second, per Variety. Many fans noted the switch-up, with one Redditor asking, "Was I the only one who liked the high frame rate? I thought it made the movie look even better." Another Redditor replied, writing, "I agree, underwater scenes were amazing. I could watch Sigourney Weaver's character Kiri interacting with nature for 6 more hours." For others, though, the constant switching between frame rates seemed to be the biggest complaint made about Avatar: The Way of Water. One Redditor was less enthused with the change, writing, "The scenes with it looked really cool, but when it changed back to 24, it looked really laggy in the theater I was in." Others weren't so kind, with one Redditor admitting, "I was expecting to hate the high frame rate, but I actually ended up enjoying it, and then hated how they kept bouncing back and forth between the 24 and 48 frames per second. I noticed it every time, and it momentarily took me out of the immersiveness." One Redditor was especially unapologetic when describing scenes using the high frame rate, writing, "Looked like a video game sequence. Awesome for a second, then stupid. We walked out. 35 minutes." Despite the fact that some viewers weren't impressed with the artistic choice, Cameron's approach to the technique was certainly labored over. Avatar: The Way of Water is not the first film to experiment with a higher frame rate either. Peter Jackson's Hobbit trilogy and Ang Lee's Gemini Man both played around with different frame rates, to varying results. For Way of Water, Cameron teamed up with the company Pixelworks and used their TrueCut motion platform to manipulate the film's frame rate during certain sequences to give the film a crisper look and feel, with the team hoping that the technique becomes more commonplace for future films, per CNBC. When asked about the frame rate by Yahoo, Cameron explained, "We tried to decide how to apply it, and the rule was, whenever they're underwater, it's 48 frames. Some of the flying scenes, some of the broad vistas benefit from 48 frames. If it's just people sitting around talking, it's not necessary."
I've spent thousands of hours underwater. I'm very literal about my underwater. It needs to look like it's real.
Cameron also revealed that he spent a lot of time deciding when to use the seemingly controversial frame rate, telling Yahoo, "The trick is to figure out where to use and where not to use it. The one thing I'll say pretty definitively is that 48 frames doesn't benefit a 2D movie very much, if at all. It's really about making a better experience in 3D." Regardless of how viewers felt about Avatar: The Way of Water, Cameron's long-awaited sequel showcases his unending hunger for innovation that is sure to have a ripple effect throughout the industry.